So I'm here today to talk to you about 3 myths around PTSD that need to be busted. The first myth being that PTSD is only found in war veterans. Well, that is not true. Obviously, we talk about PTSD in that context because people who are in war zones often experience trauma and develop PTSD, but that's definitely not the only place where a person can experience trauma. A lot of first responders deal with issues around PTSD. We can get PTSD from things like traffic accidents, or things that are hugely impactful and that causes trauma, and abuse definitely falls in that category. Many people who experience abuse, and whether that be physical abuse, emotional abuse, religious abuse, whatever, but a lot of people do develop PTSD in the aftermath of that happening to them, because trauma is trauma, and PTSD is the brain's response to trauma. Another thing that I really want to dispel is the myth that PTSD is just happening in your head. Well, it's happening in your head in the fact that it's happening in your brain, but it's not. It's not something that's made up. First of all, it's not even something that is purely emotional. It's a physical alteration of how the brain functions in response to trauma. And so it's not like you can just snap out of it, because you can't just snap out of your brain working a certain way, right? You can't just snap out of bleeding when someone cuts you, right? PTSD works the same way in that sense, that it's a physical alteration of how your brain works. And then the third myth is that PTSD would only affect weak people. Well, no, that's not true. Again, this is a way that your brain responds to trauma, especially repeated trauma. A situation that is extended has impact on how your body and how your brain functions, right? And so it has nothing to do with you being weak, or there being anything particularly wrong with you, other than your body is responding to a traumatic event. So with those 3 myths kind of dispelled, maybe that actually raises a few more questions than answers. But these are things that we need to keep in mind when we talk about PTSD, because it's important that we don't misunderstand what is going on for people, and that we don't dismiss people because they're not soldiers, because we think it's something that happens in between their ears, and we think it's something that happens because they're just weak-minded, because all of that is just not true. Now, what PTSD is, how it affects you, how you can develop it in the aftermath of domestic violence or other forms of abuse and bullying, and giving you handholds on how to deal with that in your day-to-day life, are all things that we discuss in the PTSD module for the Healing Academy. So you can sign up below and get access to all that information today. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.